is the filming setup, and well, yeah, it's my assistant, sound guy. You sure that's going to improve the sound? Great.
Yeah.
What's that? Do you think there's someone there? Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to my channel, and I should probably welcome myself back because it's been, nearly 2 years since I uploaded a video on here. So I hope you're doing well. We're currently in lockdown here in London, hence my husband's back there working away. I thought it was about time I sat down and did a little, hey, I'm back, life update kind of video. So this is my new co-host, Arthur Arnell. Yeah, that's you. Can you see yourself? I just realised we're looking up at the screen, not the camera. Man, I'm out of practice. Okay, oh, there's a hair in my mouth. So, life update, where to begin? I sort of wanted to explain why I was so absent from YouTube for such a long time. The main reason initially was to do with pregnancy, and I know so many people are just brilliant at documenting their whole pregnancy and giving you little updates and stuff. I was not one of those people. I was extremely emotional almost every day, like couldn't stop crying. About most of the time about nothing. Sometimes it was about like the smallest thing ever, and therefore I just didn't want to sort of turn on the camera and sit and cry at you guys, because there's better content out there, let's be honest. Secondly, I didn't quite feel like I wanted to be on camera an awful lot. I felt very, I don't know, just not in my own body. We went to New York I think it was like mid-20-something weeks pregnant, for 10 days, as in like a final getaway of time together, let's just go to New York. And I loved it, but honestly, if anybody there was like, oh my gosh, you're expecting, it would just send me off into like a fountain of tears for the rest of the day. And even like the lovely airport security people there were like, oh, you're expecting a baby, that's so wonderful. They can tell I'm pregnant. What can you see? Oh yeah, I see it. And then towards the end of pregnancy, especially from like 35 weeks onwards, I was just, I looked like I'd been in a boxing match. I was pretty puffed up, I couldn't even dress myself, which also made me cry even more because I had to rely on someone else to dress me, didn't I? Yeah, you know how that feels. Yeah, what do you see? Is it the tree? Is it blowing in the wind? It's lovely. All the leaves have just come out on the trees. It's so nice. Spring. Although we're not allowed outside. So towards the end, I found it really difficult. I had carpal tunnel in my hands. I think it's called tarsal tunnel in your feet and ankles. So I had super swollen feet. Again, couldn't really move. I was just like a beached whale. My husband, bless him, he's back there working away. He had to like squeeze on these support stockings just to help reduce some of the water retention and swelling. A lot of crying, a lot of like being swollen. But I think for me the whole experience was I don't know, I'm like, I'll never do it again. That's where my head is at the moment. And every time now I see someone who's pregnant, I almost feel like, oh, are you okay? Instead of being like, oh my gosh, you're pregnant, congratulations, which is the normal reaction. Mine is most like, oh, are you okay? How you doing? Okay, you know the end now. I feel really like a huge amount of empathy for that person, even though they're probably not experiencing half of the aches and pains that I was going through. So I know everyone's different, but this is just my little experience. Yeah, that's the camera. Can you see it? You're probably sitting a bit low down, aren't you? Should I pop you up a bit? There we are. Is that better? I remember trying to write out my birth plan, like with severe like carpal tunnel. I could just about hold the pen, and it was like so slow. And I think it took me 2 days. I had to sit down in various sessions to like try and write it out. And I know birth plans rarely go to plan, but I just felt like it was something I wanted to sit down and spend some time thinking about. It also helped me sort of come up with a list of things like what to take in my hospital bag if we end up going to hospital. So originally I was hoping for a home birth. That's something I felt quite strongly about if it was possible. I'm a bit sleepy. Have a little nap if you want. They don't mind. It was like 2 weeks overdue basically. So on the last day of the 42nd week is when I started to feel some contractions early in the morning on a Tuesday morning. It was I think it was a Tuesday. It's all a bit of a blur. And I think I'd worked myself up a bit beforehand because people were talking about possible like induction, and I was just like, I just want to sort of let things try and happen as naturally as possible. I did 27 hours at home, and then I was just exhausted. And the midwife came over and she said, like, I think you might be better off if we went to the hospital. And I think at that point in my headspace, I was like, I just want a C-section. I just want to get it over with. Because the pain for me was just excruciating. And again, I know everyone experiences different levels of pain, or other people can handle pain differently. I thought I was like okay with pain, but this, yeah, was another level for me. Suddenly everyone was giving birth on that day, so they were super full, and they were going to try and find me a bed. They also convinced me to try and push if I could, and I was okay, as long as I can have pain relief, like I just can't do this anymore. And I mean, honestly, it's the complete opposite of what my birth plan was. I don't want to use any pain relief. I will use breathing, visualization, maybe some water, blah blah blah. Cut to me begging for an epidural and possibly a C-section. They found us a bed, and I think my body just needed a bit of a break from the pain, and the contractions had started to slow down, so I think my body was kind of going, okay, let's just slow down, have a bit of a break. And then after a couple of hours, my body just sort of took over. I didn't need any like hormone drip or anything. Oh, we're getting so sleepy, I love it. And then 45 hours later, since the first contractions arrived, so 45 hours in total, little Arthur appeared. There's a lot of info on various different things, but I'm going to do a few separate videos on things like what I packed in my hospital bag, and I'm really glad I did do a hospital bag, even though mentally I was like, no, I'm having a home birth. I'm so relieved that I did that, because we made the decision to go to the hospital like so quickly. We just had to remember to like grab our phone, wallet and keys, and reusable water bottles. And yeah, on that note, my goodness, the amount of waste that you can produce, nodding off, giving birth in a hospital. But you know what? I was like, it's okay. It's just this one time. But even as I was like getting dressed after, or not even getting dressed, just trying to put some pants on, they were like, do you want an absorbent pad and blah blah blah. I was like, no, I've got these reusable pants. They absorb like 3 tampons, 2 tampons worth of blood. It's the Thinks pants, which I'd ordered, and they've just been brilliant. I think I'm even wearing a pair now. I love them. It's just, wow, those sound amazing. That's great. So we did manage to mitigate a little bit of the rubbish, but yeah, it was just one of those times you're like, just let it go. So I think some people feel really like reassured about being in a hospital and it's their safe space. I have always struggled being in any sort of medical surrounding. Like I can't even watch TV shows set in hospital because it just stresses me out. So I didn't find it the most relaxing environment to be in for me. Generally, I find like hospital staff can be a bit hit and miss. You either get like really amazing, lovely people who are like just angels, and then you get a few kind of egos, and we definitely experienced a few egos who, I don't know, just sort of like tainted the experience a little bit and made it a little bit more stressful. He was super tired. Oh, my lover. Super floppy and sleepy. I didn't think you'd find making a video so relaxing. From quite early on, like an hour after Arthur was born, I was asking for help with breastfeeding because I didn't know what I was doing, and it didn't quite feel like he was sort of like latching on properly or for very long. So and I just felt like that help never really came until the very last minute, just before we were about to leave. Even then it was a bit wishy-washy, the advice I got, but he was basically struggling to sort of latch on and stay latched on, but nobody could see if he had any sort of like tongue tie or any issues. So what I'm going to do is do an entirely like separate video about my breastfeeding journey, because boy was it a journey, and it was it was something that I thought would be so natural and just so sort of easy. And what I found out is that it's basically very painful, very difficult for a lot of people, and it doesn't come that naturally, and there can be a whole bunch of like random issues with it. So what I will say for now is that regarding breastfeeding, I got there in the end, thanks to an amazing lactation consultant, and nipple shields, and which we don't use now, but we had to for a while, and some formula as well. So it was a real mix, but I'll go into that all in a whole other video. Let's talk about early motherhood. That was, in itself it was a bit of a roller coaster and just a shock, really. It's like you go from just kind of your semi-normal lives beforehand, and the next day you've got a baby and you need to wake up in the middle of the night multiple times to feed, and they need your constant attention, and like your brain has been completely rewired. Because I'd had such a long labour I think I had a low-level anxiety humming away in the background for at least the first month, maybe two. Just everything felt overwhelming, and noise, traffic, people. So I barely left our flat for the first 6 weeks, only popping out occasionally, and then it was like, whoa, everything is such a sort of assault on the senses. I just wanted to scurry away to the middle of nowhere with my baby. The one that just keeps you going is just this primal love for your baby. Well, that's what I had anyway. It's sort of I must keep him alive. I love him so much. I just want to hold him all the time. Oh, he's nodding off. I love it. I'm clearly thrilling company. This is the secret to naps. Who knew? What else? Oh, I guess I should mention reusable nappies, because I love them. I flippin' love them. So we took them with us to the hospital in preparation, but actually straight after birth. I mean, I was so exhausted, and I didn't have the energy to direct and sort of go, that bit goes on first, then put that in, because also it's so new to me. I didn't quite really know what I was doing either. I practiced using them on a teddy bear. So he's just gone straight to sleep. He looks totally donkered. So straight away they went to put a disposable nappy on him, and Mark was actually no, we're going to use reusables, and I just piped up and said, you know what, just let this one slide. Let's just get out of here, and we'll figure it out later. So we had one disposable nappy, but then after that we just used the reusables straight away. And again, I'm going to do a whole separate video on which nappies I chose and why, and also how I sort of maintain them, how I wash them, what our nappy routine is. But the long and short of it is that we love the reusable nappies. Honestly, they're just, I think if you find a brand that you really like, or you find a style that you really like, and also I found that starting basically straight away meant that we didn't really know any different, and that was our normal. And where are we now? We're at 11 months, nearly 12 months old. Yeah, my little sleepy pie. What else? Oh, I guess I should talk about my book. A month into pregnancy, was it even that? Maybe I didn't even know I was pregnant. I can't remember. But anyway, super early on, I was asked to write a book. And initially I was like, you know what? I think there are enough books out there on this topic. There probably doesn't need to be another one. But the publishing agent was super keen. She was like, let's just meet up and have a chat anyway, grab a coffee. So I was like, okay, there's a free coffee in this, let's go have a chat. And just before meeting up with my publishing agent, I was on the phone to my brother. He's really creative and has a great, amazing creative mind. And he was like, you could just call it something like 6 weeks to zero waste and break it down into different stages. And that really was something that I thought was a good idea. I know a lot of people who want to sort of try different things, and especially friends and family who are sort of really keen. They want to give zero waste a go. They don't necessarily want to be totally zero waste or all or nothing, but they're super curious and they just want to have a bit of a guide, where do you start? And I think I felt that there are so many books that kind of give you so many ideas. Here's 80 things you could do in the bathroom, is another 25 things you could do in the living room, and 101 things you can do in the kitchen. You sort of get a bit overwhelmed and you're like, where do I start? Whether it's 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, it doesn't really matter, but it just breaks it down into these manageable chunks for people. So that's the main part of the book, and then there's also some recipes in there for some of the things I make. I'm not a big DIY person, as you guys know, but there are some things in there that I was like, I think these could be really valuable, or that I use them myself. And then there's another bit, zero waste in situ, so sort of giving suggestions and ideas on if you're travelling, or if you're in an office, or if you've got a pet, or if you've got children. I like to think it's a sort of upbeat, inspiring book that's very kind of not crunchy. I wanted it to be something that was very appealing and approachable, and just not too out there. So it's not a purist book. It's not about being totally zero waste, but it is something that I hope lots of people feel that they can pick and choose bits from for their life. It's available as an ebook or a regular book, although I don't know if printers during this whole COVID-19 lockdown vibe are actually operating, or outside of the whole COVID-19 lockdown, if you can get to a library, brilliant. It's had lovely reviews so far, and it's just been so nice to get such positive feedback through sort of social media, people sharing it and stuff. So I'll put a link to it in the info box below if you want to check it out. I was going to grab a copy to not. So there it is. That's the book, 6 Weeks to Zero Waste. It's quite small. We deliberately chose eco-friendly inks, and the paper is FSC certified, and it doesn't have like any kind of cover or anything. Still can't quite get my head around the fact that there's a book out there that I've written. It's so surreal. What else? Oh yeah, did I mention that we moved flat? I think I did. As you can tell, we're in a completely different location. So this is our current flat. We are actually going to be moving out of here fairly soon, but I'll try and do a little like flat tour just to give you a sense of, I guess, the bits and bobs we've got in our home. Some of it might be of interest to you. Anything else? Have I rambled on enough? I've just had an okay from the boss man. I'm allowed to share with you guys that we are launching a product. Mark and I have been working on a product that we felt was slightly missing in the market. It was an idea that Mark actually had, oh gosh, I want to say like a year and a half ago. And we've had it designed. And yeah, it's quite, again, it's so surreal that we're sort of designing this product, a zero waste reusable product. It's currently in the sort of prototype phase, and it should be coming out later this year, end of summer, early autumn, fingers crossed. So there you go, that's a little life update for you guys. It feels really nice to be back, and yeah, excited to make some content for you guys. So watch this space. Thanks so much for sticking with me to the end of this video if you have, and yeah, I'll see you soon. Bye. Okay. Look at this little chap.
Dad.
Yeah, they're out there, I think. I hope. Is anybody there?